റെസ്പോൺസിബിൾ സിറ്റിസൺസ് ആക്കുന്നതും എഡ്യൂക്കേഷനാണ്. സോ ടീച്ച് ഫോർ ഇന്ത്യ ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷണൽ ഇക്വിറ്റിക്ക് വേണ്ടി പോരാടുന്ന ലീഡേഴ്സിനെയാണ് അവർ ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. മാത്രമല്ല എഡ്യൂക്കേറ്റഡ് ആയ ആളുകൾക്ക് മറ്റുള്ള ലോ ഇൻകം കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റീസിൽ നിന്ന് വരുന്ന കുട്ടികൾക്ക് അവരുടെ അറിവ് പകരാനുള്ള അവസരം കൂടിയാണ് നൽകുന്നത്. എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ സിസ്റ്റത്തിന്റെ എല്ലാ ലെവലുകളിലും എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ ഇക്വിറ്റിക്ക് വേണ്ടി ഒരുപാട് മൂവ്മെന്റ്സ് അവർ നടത്തുന്നുണ്ട്. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ സിസ്റ്റത്തിൽ ഒരുപാട് ഇമ്പാക്ട് ഉണ്ടാക്കാനും അവർക്ക് സാധിച്ചു. Then Sai Vaishnavi മാം മോർ ദാൻ 1 year ആയിട്ട് ടീച്ച് ഫോർ ഇന്ത്യയുടെ ഫെലോ ആയിട്ട് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു വ്യക്തിയാണ്. മാത്രമല്ല ചിൽഡ്രൻ എംപവർമെന്റിന് വേണ്ടി വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന അമാര ഫൗണ്ടേഷന്റെ വോളണ്ടിയർ കൂടിയായിരുന്നു. സോ മാമിന് ഞാൻ മൈക്ക് ഹാൻഡ് ഓവർ ചെയ്യുന്നു. വെൽക്കം മാം.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that nice introduction. So, hi everyone. It's really nice to see around 152 people on the call. I'm really humbled to be part of this on Gandhi Jayanti. So, I'll just share my screen. Let me know if you're able to see that, okay? 1 second. Are you all able to see my screen? Someone can come off mute and just say if you're able to see the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. So I would like to start today's session by like Gandhiji's quote on education, that is, by education, I mean an all-round drawing of the best in child and man in body, mind and spirit. And I assume that everyone here also believes this. We in Teach for India definitely believe this, because this is what we try to achieve, like a holistic education for everyone, not just academically, like values and mindset, access and exposure. This is what we drive our children into, you know. So coming to our session, like there are a few norms that I would like you to follow. These are very cutie norms that I really want you to follow. Have an open mind when you're in the session, engage a lot, and also ask questions. So these are the 3 little things that I really want you to take note of and, you know, participate really well, so that it will be meaningful for you and me as well. This whole 1 hour will be meaningful for you. So the next 1 hour will look like this. So the agenda is to have an introduction. So the second will be to, you know, share my journey in the education sector. And also third, we'll discuss few challenges in the sector. And fourth, we'll have the Q&A session where you can participate, ask questions, come off mute. Whatever you want to clear, you can clear in this section. Yeah, so let's begin. So hi everyone. So my name is Sai Vaishnavi, as you've all heard in the introduction. So I've also done my engineering from Muthoot Institute of Technology and Science. And post that, I actually got placed in IBS, but then I also like got selected in Teach for India Fellowship. Being a passionate about education and always believing in that actually led me to take up Teach for India for 2 years. And now I teach adorable little 3rd grade, like now they're 4th graders. I started with when they were in 3rd grade. So these are my children here, and I really like what I do. So this is the basic, like, small introduction about me. Now I'll just move on to like how I actually got into education sector. So from the beginning, I was always passionate about teaching, and I was so interested in teaching that, okay, like even after BTech, I can do MTech and start teaching in colleges as a professor. So this was one of the goals that I had when I joined engineering, to be honest. But then, like, during my engineering days, during my UG days, I kind of started volunteering for Amara Foundation. So this is a place where we go during Saturdays in government schools and teach them basic literacy and personality development. So this happens only during Saturdays, that too for just 2 to 3 hours, right? So even because that 2 to 3 hours made a lot of difference in their lives. So we had a lot of competitions for them. So there were a lot of schools. So each school come together, participate. So we dealt with 5th, 6th, and 7th grade students. So they were little older kids, but still, like, they were not able to, that is the time I actually understood about the education inequity that is happening around. So how government school students are not getting the access that other, schools have. So they, even when they are in 5th standard, they don't have the basic math or literacy skills that students should have. So that is how my passion for teaching children kind of developed. So being with them gave me immense joy, and at the same time, it's kind of sad that how, just because they come from, they don't have that exposure or access, they are being left out on education or like all those things. So this is how I kind of started my journey. And through Amara, so I worked in Amara for 2 years. So I was a mentor there at first, and then I became a center head during my last year at Amara. So it was really a good experience for me to, have a hands-on experience on what happened. So this was purely volunteering basis. We all worked voluntarily, like during Saturdays or Sundays, like whenever we got free time, we used to plan for this, go to the school and like try to give them the opportunity that they kind of lacked in their schools. And after that, through that, I kind of knew about Teach for India, and like I kind of knew about Teach for India during my 3rd year, and we need a degree to, apply for Teach for India. So it's not a voluntary, it's a full-time commitment. So post my UG, I was sure like I really want to apply. If I get in, I have to go there. So this was something that I was very clear about in the beginning itself. I applied, I got in. So this was, so in Teach for India, we get training during our first 5 weeks. So Teach for India, like there are a lot of fellows who come from different backgrounds, It's a very diverse cohort we have every time. There are people from corporate coming in. There are people who have just finished graduation like me. There are people who have finished their, whole retirement thing. And so the age group is so diverse. So not everyone will know how teaching is, like they won't know the pedagogy and all those things. So during those 5 weeks, we are taught this. And this happens in Pune. So for 1 month, we go there, teach these children. So I used to teach 5th standard there. So these are my students there. So I had around 30 students, and they were so amazing. You just know like how what I do is something that I always believed in. And this kind of like that 1 month made a lot of sense to me on how in the second picture, as you can see, like all of them are looking at you. So it's really a nice feeling, and at the same time, being there for them, and like, internally it feels so satisfactory that you are there for those kids, and like you can change them the way you want, or like the way you wish the world to be. So this is the stepping stone to that. And after the 5 weeks of training, we get placed in our own cities, and I work in Chennai now. So in Chennai, I got my own kids here. So I have a whole classroom, 3rd standard to myself, and these are a few photos that I wanted to share. So all the projects that they do, for all the events that they attend, and it's just fun to be around them and to teach them. They teach you back too, there are a lot of things that you learn from students. So it's a development for you, for yourself as well, because it's something that there are perspectives that I've never had before entering my classroom that I have now. So you tend to, see the world in a different way. You become more patient. So these are very small children, right? So you have to have a lot of patience when you're teaching them, when you're handling them, just having that bond with them is really amazing. So the first year went like this. It was really amazing. And then Corona happened. During March 16th, schools were closed. They all went home. So just to give you a context, all the children's here, their parents are daily wage workers, or like, they have very small housekeepers, things like that. So most of them lost their jobs. So as like other schools shifted into virtual learning very easily, it was not that easy for us to do that, because no one has, mobile phones. Even if they have one, which sometimes the parents take during their work time. So it was really difficult, and our priority was different too, right? It was not about phones in the beginning. It was about keeping them fed, like having proper ration and all those things. So we kind of collaborated with other NGOs to make sure our students have all the ration that is like basic necessities. So that was our priority in the beginning, and we were able to deliver things to at least most of the people whichever was available. So some of them kind of dropped out. So it was our responsibility that they do not drop out of school, because most of them are first generation school going students. So that itself is a big thing, that if they drop out again, that hierarchy is continuing, that they are not going to school, they're not getting education, their life is not getting better. So it was a very big responsibility that you take, that make sure that they really do not drop out of school. So, and slowly we had ration and all those things. And second priority came in about mobile phones. So first we started with whoever had mobile phones. So this is how the virtual world looks in my classroom. So we had very few students in the beginning, and for the rest of them, I kind of started a crowdfunding page. We raised around 1,58,000, and this is still going on. So we were able to get phones for around 15 students. That is like it's still a process for us. Now at least second, third, and fourth graders have phone. We are still in progress to make a devices access to like all the other schools. So because no children should be left behind, right? So everyone has the right to be educated, right to have learning happening during these times. All the other school children who who study in private schools, they have been doing this virtual thing. They have this luxury to have sit from morning 9 to like afternoon 1 for the virtual class. So my students do not have that luxury. They have maximum that I can have is 1 hour with my students, because their 1.5 GB might go off, right? Like, so with the same phone everyone uses. So this is a real struggle that we are actually facing now over the other things. So with this, there are parents coming, they lose their job, they feel like they have to, make the student drop off from school and all those things. So just motivating them, trying to, raise funds to support their parents financially is also thing other than getting devices. So this corona has actually brought us a lot of challenges, but still, like, we are progressing. So, this is how I think, this is my perspective. If I'm not working for them, so they will not have that education, that the learning that is happening now, right? So the other school teachers, they don't actually care much about like how they are working with them. So even they have their own set of troubles. So I'm really glad that I'm in this role and like I'm doing this, so that there is some kind of learning happening with my kids. Yeah, so this is the crowdfunding that we started, and we have reached around 1,50,000. So our aim was 2,50,000. We wanted around 40 phones. So we are still in the progress of getting that, and hopefully we'll do that as well. So this is the small journey about my classroom and stuff. Now let's get understand the challenges in the sector. So if you ask me why I do what I do, I've already briefed about like how much I love teaching and how much of passionate I am in this. But the major spark that happened was when I was working with Amara Foundation. So there was this little girl called Topa. So that school had a boarding house, it's a Christian missionary school. So they had their own boarding house, and this girl did not have mother or father. So she used to be in an orphanage. So for education purpose, they have sent them to this boarding school, and they used to teach here. So every Saturday when I used to go, so I used to see that happiness in her face, because there are things that she can share with me which she can't share with the other teacher. She used to say she doesn't know how to look at the time, read time. They don't know multiplication tables. they are interested in learning. So this is what I'm understanding from all the conversation that I have from her. But I really did not have much time because we spent only around 2 to 3 hours. That is the only allowed time for us. So it never worked for me. With whatever time I had, we definitely worked around it to teach them literacy and maths. But still, that was not enough, right? So, like in a week, just 2 3 hours wouldn't work. So this is why I do what I do, because this is when I thought if I get 2 years of my life, if I spend 2 years of my life with same set of students, there are a lot of changes that I can bring in those set of students. The I can change because they're children, right? You can mold them the way you want. Whatever they learn in their very early ages, that sustains. So that was my goal, and that is why I joined Teach for India. So I was very passionate that I did this. So now let's get understand the challenges a bit more, right? So I would really like you to think what is a challenge you can think of. So I would like few people to come off mute and say, so in the education sector itself, what are few challenges that you can think of? I'll wait for 1 to 2 more minutes so that if anyone wants to come off mute and say. So there are no wrong answers, right? So the challenges are n number. So you can just think of one or two, whichever you think, you can just say that. I know there are around 100 plus participants on this call, and I would really appreciate if someone could, come off and think. So I know there are a lot of challenges that you are thinking in your mind. Just come off mute and say that. It will be really nice to hear what you think are the challenges. Okay, so I'll just move on now. But it will be really nice if we could engage so that this will make more meaning to you. So I'm going to show you some recent challenges that we find alarming. So I'm not going to read this out to you. You can just read this. These are some recent challenges that's very alarming to us. So all these challenges, when you think of how hard it is to fix all of these and other social issues, I'm going to share what we believe deeply is connected to many of these. So as you can see here, these are pure statistics, okay? So, but these are very alarming as well because there are 47% of the students in India. So all these 14-year-olds in India cannot read English sentences. So 50%, 57% of 14 to 18-year-olds in India cannot solve simple division. At the same time, 67% of India do not make it to grade 10. 67%, guys. So at the same time, 75% of youth in India are not enrolled in college. So this is the depth of the problem. So there are a lot of challenges in this education sector that we really have to work towards. So all these numbers are very scary because these are the youth of if 75% of youth in India are not enrolled in college, and if they don't get the education that they deserve, obviously good leaders are never going to become, there is no scope of having good leaders in our country, right? Only if we have educated leaders. So this is the depth of the problem that we are working with, but that's not it. What's worse is the quality of education that we are giving to most of our children, both low and high income across country. So it is so the education system that is founded focused on marks and exams and job readiness, but it really isn't an education focused on making them citizens who will make the world better, like citizens who will work to change the headlines. Right? That is what we actually have to aim for. If you are asking how, if you how many of you think you can change this? What if you could? So I know a lot of people want to change. There are a lot of sparks inside you. Like I know most of you are part of NSS, and that's it. That itself is a big step that you have taken towards, changing the nation. So what if you could be part of all these things? So all the small things that you do really matters. So the depth of the problem and challenges is so big that you can't overnight change all these things. Only if a lot of like-minded people come together and work hard, one day we will definitely reach there. That is how this works. So what if you could build a nation and your future? So it's not just the social service that you do here, and it is just skill building for yourself as well. It's your future that you're building as well, right? So if you ask me how you may ask, how do you change the world? How do we wake up to that day when we aren't reading terrible things in news in our nation? How do you fix a crisis that impacts 76% of India's 320 million children? How do we do this? Right? Like, this is one big question that everyone will definitely have. And we believe that what will help us change these headlines in the world around us is leadership. So we need good leaders in this moment, a moment of leaders who will eliminate educational inequity in India. People like yourself, people committed to a different world. To understand this a little bit more, so I'll be sharing a video with you all. So let's look at so this is Nirali. So we look at Nirali's video. So she's also another Teach for India fellow. She teaches third standard. So I'll be sharing that video with you all. So while you watch the video, really want you to think about two things. Okay, what stood out to you about Nirali's kids? What stood out to you about Nirali? So these are the two things I really want you to think about and share when we come back. All right. So now I'll be sharing that. Just give me 1 second. So also let me know if you're not able to hear the audio. If that's the case, I can send you the link on the chat so that you can go watch the videos. It's a YouTube video, so you can go watch the video and come back in 5 minutes. So for if anyone is not able to hear the audio, just let me know, right? 1 second. Okay, 1 second. I'm not able to share my screen. Okay, so please let me know if you're not able to hear the audio. Okay? So I'm going to start this.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Siraz Ali. My school name.
Are you all able to hear the audio?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, all right. Thank you.
Is Lord Krishna Public School. All right, eyes on me. 1, 2, eyes on you. Okay, so before we start the phonics lesson, we haven't sung our countdown song today. How much time is left for our exams? Okay, we're going to sing the superhero song. I need energy, I need excitement.
We work all day and study all night. We work all day and study all night. Give us 2 weeks, we show our night. Give us 2 weeks, we show our night. Everybody clap like parents. Everybody clap like parents.
Faster.
Everybody clap like parents. Everybody clap like parents.
Thank you. We're starting with me telling you what to do first. We're moving on to partner work and then finally group work.
Yes, I like Didi. Didi teaches very nicely. She's so brilliant. She teaches like amazing.
So short A and long A. Since we've done this, you're not going to hear much from me. I want you to turn to the person next to you. We just need one whiteboard between the both of you. Please talk to your partner. Find one word each at least.
More thing, 5 line. Okay. Then Nirali Didi is not here. I don't know and something. I'm only dumb.
Didi, we are finished.
Then now I'm so fast.
But we see 5 now only, but see.
She helped me to do phonics, math, perimeter, area, anything. What I ask her, she tell me.
E, what's the sound?
Ellie.
Long E. Think.
We are reading the book called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. It is my favorite book ever.
So we're discussing the potions master. And who is this potions master in Harry Potter?
It teaches us personality traits.
What about his personality? What do we know till now?
I like Ron very much because his personality is extremely good and he's very kind, and he doesn't like Hermione because she's bossy.
Solution is the what? There are many solutions to a problem? Yes or no? Yes? Everybody is participating and everybody has ideas. So everybody's solution is fine. I don't want solutions which the author gave you. Okay? I want you to be thinking, to be imagining of a better solution. Why I'm giving you one question as a team is so that you can all think together. We're going to have more brains to think together to get better solutions. Okay?
When Nirali Didi is not there, then I cannot speak in English. I don't know how to answer the questions. Not Nirali Didi is come there. She tell us and we are change a lot.
I don't want all 4 solutions to be call up Hagrid, call up a ghost, call up Dumbledore. Please think creatively. Okay? Start.
A good teacher have a personality like Nirali Didi, and the other teachers give us only one chance. If we don't give other chances, how will we be able to learn? One chance is not important. Other chances are also important. Not one time, second time, third time we will get.
Okay, so Hermione is going to do magic on Snape, and then he'll stop ignoring her. Okay, why not?
You say, don't think you are you think you are a brave boy and confidently say you. What is it the question? So what is the answer? And you say what you say? And Hermione
But how is settled here?
You do that to a teacher. Do you think this is a solution then? If you're going to do that to me, you lock me in the bathroom if I ask you a question. So, come on. No. Think. You can lock. You're saying you lock yourself in the bathroom.
But you don't know the magic. No, not call. Oh, yeah, we are done.
I feel so delighted that Nirali Didi is there. Adi, I always think I come today, all day come.
The house it was fancy. The house it was grand with high-tech new gadgets and glorious fans.
When I grow up, I want to be a lawyer because I like to bring the justice. My dream is to be a sailor. I want to travel the whole world and sail the whole ocean. I like to be kind that my father always proud of me.
So you make a complaint to Dumbledore about it. What else can you do to fix this problem?
I feel very excited. I feel very joyful that I will go to school and I will learn new things. Because school is very extremely good. All people can take anything, but knowledge is the thing that anybody cannot take from you.
So yeah, hi everyone, welcome back. So I would really like few people to just share what stood out to you about Nirali's kid. So I would really like someone to, come off mute and say. Anyone can answer this question because this is just something that you saw and like, what did you feel different about this? Like what stood out to you about Nirali's kids? What are some differences that you're seeing here than in a normal classroom that we have been? If you want, you can share in the chat box as well. I can just see that if you want, if you're not comfortable sharing. So something that I would say is in this, when I see students from Nirali's classroom, it always gives me a lot of hope in what I do as well, right? So those are third standard students reading Harry Potter book. So that is something really amazing. So to understand, there she's asking who's the Snape potions master and all those things. So they know who that is. They are trying to find solutions. They're problem solving together. So there are a lot of academic things going on. At the same time, a lot of values and mindset are being built in that classroom, right? So she's pushing them to ask, who do you like in that character? So as a third standard kid, just to say, okay, I like this person because of so reason is something really amazing, right? So if students like during the third standard itself, if they're able to comprehend such big things, they'll do wonders when they grow up, right? Yes, I see Janita, Elisa Sheng, she encourages the students to tell the answer in more which makes the students more creative. Yes, amazing. Thank you for sharing. So that's really true, right? So even the students share, like she gives me more chances. They're very confident in what they're speaking. So it just really builds their confidence. They say like the other teachers do not give us the same number of attempts. They just give us one chance. So that is what some other kids, the students need, right? So even now, if we make mistakes, we really need other chance, right? One mistake doesn't actually count. If there's a person who is ready to give us chance, we would really love to have a teacher like that, right? So even if we make mistakes, to celebrate that mistake and actually encourage us to do more. If we don't encourage that, they will not like it. So I am really sure we would definitely have experiences from our school days where one teacher or the other who would have said us some things that we did not like, and we eventually did not like that subject itself. So there will be subjects we really like because of that teacher, right? So teacher plays a very important role in our classroom, and this is all because of how a teacher is and how we get molded. So whatever thoughts and like things that we studied in our very early age, that kind of sustains with us, right? So this is something. So imagine, so if every child got this kind of excellent education that Nirali's kid did, the world will be a better place, right? From third standard, they are reading, they are comprehending stuff, they're thinking, they're actually understanding, okay, I like this, I don't like this. So this is something that everyone needs in their life, right? The clarity of things. So third standard students having this much clarity is really amazing. So this is what, why Teach for India is different, I would say, because the way we teach is how all student driven, like the whole system is student centric. Everything is dependent on children. So whatever works good for them is what we do. So I'll just share my screen again, just to I'll just take you through how the selection process goes. If someone is interested in this lot, just to help you out how this works, how the selection process works. One second. Yeah. So this is what you saw. So now, so Teach for India is a path to a destination of equities for all students, right? It is a path where you spend 2 years teaching and growing as a leader. So when I say grow as a leader, you actually do grow as a leader, because you will be teaching a set of 30, 20, 40. So there are fellows who get to teach around 100. So they'll teach 2 classes. So they'll have around 100 students in total. So when you lead them to success, when you lead them to their mastery, their goals, you become a leader there. So leader need not be where they are in a high position. So teacher can be a leader too. So because that you are actually changing their lives, right? So this is how the process goes. So once you get selected in the Teach for India process, so you get into 5 weeks at institute, learn and connect with your cohort. And then you get to your year 1. So in year 1, you understand the context of your students, and strive to achieve significant holistic outcomes in your classroom. Just bonding, creating the classroom culture that you want, trying to reach the goals that you want with your kids in the first year, right? And then during the summer break that you have, you'll be doing a summer internship. So you can choose to do an internship that allows you to explore your path post the fellowship also, right? So since this is a 2-year fellowship, so this is a full-time paid commitment. So you will need to, look for post fellowship, whichever path you want to choose. Accordingly, you can do an internship there. And in year 2, you will increase the outcomes for your students, work in the school, community. So create a sustainable change through BTCP. So BTCP is a Be the Change project. So this is a project that you do for your community, or else it's just something that you do for your children, right? So 1 year you have worked with your students, and in your second year, this is what you do. So you know what are the challenges that your community face, your parents face. So accordingly, you'll take up a project, come up with a project to help them out. So what fellows do is sometimes these projects are very good that they kind of take that as their starter and continue post fellowship as well. So there are a lot of fellows who have done that, and this is for you to find your passion and path while you're growing with your students. And post fellowship also, so our leaders span across sectors, as you can see. So there are a lot of people who are in curriculum and assessment, early education, student health and nutrition, inclusive education. So there are lots. The major chunk is in the school leadership, teaching, community empowerment, teacher training. So, and all the others are like spread out across the sectors. So that you can be the puzzle piece you want in this, okay, in the sector, right? So there are all the black puzzle pieces that you see is something that you can become there. Anything that you figure out during your fellowship, any change that you want to, you can take that out and be the change that you want to see, right? So our alumni choose diverse avenue post their fellowship. This can be, so post your fellowship, you can join Teach for India as a staff. You can pursue a career in the development sector. You can pursue a career in the corporate sector. So there are a lot of people after fellowship, they join McKinsey and all those things. So you can actually go into the corporate sector as well and also start an enterprise. As I said, like there are a lot of projects that we take up, and if you are really interested to take that up, you can actually start an enterprise. You can start your own company with that. And some people do their, apply to graduate school. A lot of people go abroad to do graduation. So these 2 year is actually considered as an experience. So about the selection process. So if anyone is really interested in applying and just to see how this works, so you will be going to Teach for India's application site, and they'll ask you to fill your details, personal details, and there'll be 2-3 essays that you would have to fill. And based on that, on the first review, if you qualify that, you'll have a phone interview round. And post the phone interview round, you'll be called to the assessment center. So assessment center is a final place where we decide whether this person is fit for Teach for India. As in, you'll be doing a demo teaching, group discussion, in-person interview. All these things will be done in the assessment center. And the selection, so this year we got around, for the first deadline, we got around 4,000 application, and around only 400 people go to the assessment center after the phone interview round. So this year I was part of the national recruitment team as well. So as part of Teach for India Fellowship, I'm also part of the national recruitment team now. So we also review together, we do the phone interviews and all those things. So now at the end, only 400 people get through. So we have a very rigorous process of doing this. So if you're really, and also it's not like out of 4,000, we take only 400. Out of 4,000, if 1,000 people do get through, we do take those many fellows because we need a lot more leaders like you, right? It's about, do you fit in Teach for India is what we actually look for. Are you passionate enough to teach the children? Is your this is what we actually check for. So even though this is selective, what I would say is, if you're really passionate, if you really believe that you have to change the education sector, if you can do something, you can contribute to that, this is a place. And Teach for India is also part of a global network called Teach for All. So under Teach for All, we have Teach for India, Teach for Bangladesh, Teach for Pakistan, Sri Lanka, America. We also have a lot of other places also, right? So all the colored on the map, all the colored places on the map. So basically, all these places do have Teach for networks. So this is the biggest thing. So now coming to a Q&A session, if you have any doubts regarding all these things, what I spoke, or like any questions, you can ask me. So I'm ready to take up any questions if you have. I saw Mukesh saying she teach me for a problem there can be more than one solution. What we need to do is to choose the best of it and use it. Yes, Mukesh, that really makes sense because yeah, Nirali did do that. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself, put down on the chat box.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi,
Ma'am,
Anu.
I've heard that in hi, ma'am. I've heard that in some North Indian states, girls are forced to drop out of school due to eve teasing. I mean, they're forced to drop out of school because their parents don't feel it's safe to send them to schools and colleges. What do you think we can do about it?
Yeah, so this is a very genuine problem and challenge now also, right? So post corona, so in especially like something that it's a trend that we have noticed, especially in North Indian, they'll have a girl and a boy child. So even if they have phone, they'll allow only the boy student, the boy child to have access to internet and like learning. So they will not allow the girl child to have it. So this is one big challenge that fellows are facing now. They since this is a huge gap that has happened, they are not going to school. They are forced to drop out. They're forced to work as well. So there are a lot of very terrible stories that we hear. So this is what fellows actually work for also. So there are communities, particularly where only girl children are being taught, and fellows like them struggle a lot for just in attendance, right? Not just learning and all the other things, just for them to come online and sit in front of them because their parents don't believe that this education matters to them because they're girls. They are supposed to get married after their 10th standard or something of that sort, and they feel that education will not do good to them. So this is something that where the community projects and we do a lot of community visit and like a lot of conversation with the parents and community in general. So this is where like in Teach for India, when we go for community visits and we build that connection with them, we kind of sit through them, talk with them, and say like why this is important. So even in Chennai, so they are very small kids in Chennai. Generally, it's a little bit better. If you say these kind of cases are not there, still there are students. They feel that okay, even if the 1 year goes without learning, it won't matter much. But it will really matter, right? If they are not studying in their 4th grade and if they go to the 5th grade without the basics being done, they'll not have that enough confidence to survive in this world. So that is where you sit down, talk with them. So as a teacher, they kind of respect you as well. So when you talk with them, put them the right points, and if you feel that this is something that I cannot do personally, I cannot approach them, so that you can actually take help of organizations other than Teach for India. So there are a lot of organizations that collaborate. So for anything in building that awareness is very important. So throughout those 2 years, building all these awareness, if it's a girls' school especially, so building that might be the priority there, right? So building that awareness will be very good among them. So that is one thing that fellows do and try to be in contact with them, make them understand like why education is important. So that itself is very important, right? Because even if parents don't feel that education is not that important, they will not let the children be in the school, right? They won't, even if the students needs it, the parents won't feel it. So educating the parents is also very important. It's not, so as a fellow, it's not just you are educating the students, making them academically brilliant. It's not just about that. You have to educate the community as well. Like their perspectives will be very different. So bringing them, aligning them to our vision and like making them realize how much an education can change people's life. is also important. Yeah. Thank you, Anu, for that question. Anyone else has a question? You can type on the chat box as well. I can read that out. So I know there is around 5 minutes more left for this session to end. So if you have any questions regarding the selection process and anything of that sort, you can ask that as well. I know that if you're really interested in joining, if you really want to, you can ask me post this also. I'll leave my mobile number and email ID also. But if there is something that needs to be addressed now, some burning thoughts that you want to clear out, so just please ask.
Hello, Sai Vaishnavi.
Yeah, hi sir.
Hi. So, what is your plan after this Teach for India Fellowship? Your
Okay.
career goals and all.
Yeah. So as of now, what I'm thinking, so it's still I'm still figuring out, but something that I have in my mind is to stay back and Teach for India itself as a program manager. Or there are different verticals inside Teach for India which I can apply for. So if not that, there are external career fair that happens in Teach for India as well. So where you can actually see a lot of organization which work for education. There are a lot of teacher training positions that's been opening. So that is also something that really believe in, because it's not just as a teacher, I can just educate only around 30 to 40 students, right? So sometimes this is something that I also believe, if I train the teachers as well, if I have that position, the impact will be larger. So that is also something that I'm exploring, sir. So Melvin has asked, nowadays online education is going everywhere. How to make online education interesting? Okay, yeah, that is really a nice question. So online education, so we follow a blended learning approach in the online education. So since we don't have students don't have the luxury of having a lot of hours to be online, we have around 1.5 hours, 1 hour with them in the synchronous space, as in like a video call space. They come there, learn, they go back, then they have their async packets given out. That is, they'll be given so this is something that fellows, or as teachers, we have to make sure it's very creative, that they come and sit, because it's not just for teachers where this transition has happened. It's also for the students as well, right? So they like their whole 7 hours of their life, that whole chunk has been cut off now. So for them to make that interesting, it's really hard to make that creative, because to have their attention span is very less. So you have to be very creative with what you do. So you have to engage them a lot. So it should not be a teacher talk always. It should be a two-way communication always, where they get to share. So they have they feel that they are being heard and all those things. So just being there for them mentally, and is something that we all try to achieve. We have one more question from Elisa. Explain the process of Teach for India and outcomes that are to be achieved. Okay, so in Teach for India as process, so as I said, like you will be in a 5-week institute like training, and after that, in the first year, that we actually try to achieve is the classroom culture. So for me, I had a first year intervention, school and classroom. So when I say first year intervention, there has not been any fellow who has taught them before. So for them to bring out the culture in them itself, like so they have been practicing, and they've been with other teachers where all they think about is marks. They mug up. It's not, they don't have that critical thinking ability, problem solving ability. All they know is, okay, if this will be there for exam, we'll go study and come. This is the only culture that they have. So bring out that culture in asking questions, bring that curiosity, having that values and mindset, something we aim for achieving in the first year. And in the second year, we actually drive so rigorous assessments to have rigorous academic achievement. So these students actually don't know how to read English well. So when I started my fellowship and like when I entered my classroom, they really did not know how to even read two-letter words. So they are in their third standard, but still they were not able to read two-letter words. So, but they were scoring well because whatever they learned, they just mugged or rote learning is something that happened there. So they never even, that confidence itself is not there. So just bringing that up from scratch, you have to start. So whatever you teach for KG students is something that we teach. We start with the phonics and all those things and slowly build. And now they can read and actually they can speak few words. It's not like too much, like they don't, but from where they started, they have really improved. So this is something we try to achieve. We have another question. Ma'am, can we work with another firms along with teaching these kids? That's not possible actually. So this is a full-time commitment. So this is not, you can actually volunteer definitely, but teach as a fellow, you can't do it. So there's a lot of volunteering options at Teach for India, which you can do, like how much ever hours you can spend, that you can mention and you can volunteer. But as a fellow, you cannot work in a different firm and teach the kids at the same time. So Anandu has asked your ideas to reform Indian education system or the change that you expect in this. Okay, so if you're asking about my belief, is that I really believe in early childhood education and primary education. So that is one reason I really took up primary students as well. So I was given the option of whether to take primary students or secondary students. So I really believe to, change primary students because I've seen that difference, right? So in my fellowship itself, I teach third grade. Those are my set of students. So as part of my school requirement, I was also asked to teach sixth grade maths. So when I go there, I really see the difference if they really don't know how to add, subtract, divide, basic things. So that's because they never actually had that kind of proper education during their primary age. So whatever you learn in your primary, like that small age, is very, very important. We actually neglect all those things, but that is really important in this world because whatever you learn in your early childhood. So early childhood itself is the motor skills that is required for the students is also very important. Like as a 1 year old, so there are different things that they have to learn, right? So they have to walk or some things. If they're not able to do that, if a lot of skills that are required as a 1 year old as well, right? So if we actually train them from there itself, the transformation will be very different. The way they think. So from their childhood, if we actually direct them to think positively, rather than negatively, for them to actually think and comprehend and say stuff itself is very important. So that's why I really believe in primary education and early child, because once you reach the higher secondary or the middle school, so there'll be a lot of preset concepts and like notions in your head, which will be very hard to change that. But with kids, this is very easy. So this is something that I really believe that in the education system, we have to focus a lot on primary education as well. So we give a lot of importance to 10th standard, 12th standard, and all the higher secondary grades because these are kids, they can learn afterwards. But whatever they miss during those years, it'll be very hard for them to cope up with when they come, to their higher grades. Relevance of education in today's world. Okay, so that's an interesting question. Thank you for asking me. So relevance of education, I mean, it's really important, right? Like, especially now, a lot of things. So I would like to say personally, so with things that I'm seeing around now, happening around now, isn't it because they are not, they don't have that kind of education that they're required to have? They, whatever news that you're hearing now, or something that I believe is that we really don't have educated leaders in policy makers, to be honest. If we have educated policy makers, there'll be a lot of difference in this nation itself, right? So whoever we have in higher position, most of them are not educated. So that has a drastic effect on the whole nation itself, right? So this relevance of education is very important. So from the beginning to like school days to college, making students understand the importance of education. So it's not just about like what we learn. So like getting those marks and all those things is not just what I mean by education. So when I say it's a holistic growth, so values and mindset that you have during this time. So all these things kind of lead to your own development, right? So how uh, like the way you are as a human, how you are, all these things are being developed in your school and college days. So I feel the relevance of education in today's world is really important. So we really need educated leaders in our country who will be the policy makers. So if we give power to people who are not educated to make policies for us, that will definitely, be that will actually affect us, right? It's something that will affect us. That is something that I believe like relevance of education is very important in today's world. Is education with certificate is essential for a job in today's world? To answer, yes, right. Like in still today's world, we really need certificate to actually prove what we did. So our world revolves around proofs, right? No one actually believes when we say things. So we really need proofs. So in Teach for India itself, like we can't run by just saying that, okay, we are doing this. This is the mindset that the students are having. We really need data as well. So that is the reality, right? So even though we say that marks are not important, so there are some aspects where we actually need to show there is improvement. It's not just how much they score, it's about the improvement that they had, right? So I think a certificate is essential for a job in today's world, at least, because even if you have a skill, and if a company has someone who actually don't have the certificate with them, they will not hire them, right? So they will. I think certificate is really important. I think I've crossed my time limit. So if you have any doubts, or like if you want to join Teach for India, Anjana has my number. So I'll leave my email ID and you can take my number from her, and definitely ask me any questions if you have. Yeah. You can contact me at any time as well. Thank you so much for engaging everyone. Thank you, sir. So Anas sir used to be my professor during my college days. He was also like my inspiration during my college days. Like he also really pushed me. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you everyone for taking your time and coming for this whole 1 hour. Thank you.
ആർക്കെങ്കിലും ഫീഡ്ബാക്ക് പറയാനുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പറയാം. ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ് 1 hour നമുക്ക് മാം ക്ലാസ് എടുത്തു. എഡ്യൂക്കേഷന്റെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ് എത്രത്തോളം ഉണ്ടെന്ന് നമുക്ക് പറഞ്ഞു. So anyone want to deliver your feedback?
പ്രപഞ്ച് ഒരു ഫീഡ്ബാക്ക് പറയാമോ? പ്രപഞ്ച്.
Till the call. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Actually, it was a really good session. Like we came to know about Teach for India very recently from Anasa. He had mentioned one of his students had applied for Teach for India, and her session might be helpful. And I would like to thank ma'am and NSS too for organizing this session, and it was really helpful and also like kind of inspirational to or motivation to apply for Teach for India. Thank you, ma'am. It was really fine, fantastic session.
Thank you
and
so
actually,
much.
I have also applied for Teach for India, and
Wow,
very
that's
recently they called me. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's really nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
ഓക്കെ ദെൻ വേറെ ആർക്കെങ്കിലും മാമിന്റെ ക്ലാസ്സിനെ പറ്റിയിട്ട് ഒപ്പീനിയൻ പറയാനുണ്ടോ?
So how to apply for Teach for India. So I'll just paste a link here on the chat box. If you are interested, you can just go to that link and start applying. 1 second. So if you see, if you type Teach for India in the Google itself, you will be directed to the Teach for India site, and you can actually apply from there as well. But if you're actually interested, put the link here as well.
Okay, I think it's over. Now I welcome Ashmika to deliver word of thanks.
ഓക്കെ ഹലോ ഓൾ മനസ്സ് നന്നാവട്ടെ. സോ നമ്മുടെ ദ്വിതീയ വെബിനാർ എൻഡ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുകയാണ്. സോ I thank Saivashnavi ma'am for creating such a very good session. Ma'am, your session was really interesting and inspirational. Your experiences motivates volunteers like us. It taught us that how can we make use of our education in such a good way for the kids who are unable to obtain education. So thank you ma'am, thank you so much. നമ്മുടെ NSS ഫാമിലിയുടെ പേരിലും എൻ്റെ പേരിലും താങ്ക് യു ആണ്. താങ്ക് യു മാം. ആൻഡ് എല്ലാത്തിനും നമ്മളെ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന നമ്മുടെ പ്രോഗ്രാം ഓഫീസേഴ്സ് അനസർ ആൻഡ് റിതിൻ സർ, ആൻഡ് നമ്മുടെ പ്രോഗ്രാമിൽ പാർട്ടിസിപ്പേറ്റ് ചെയ്ത എല്ലാ കോളേജിലെയും വോളണ്ടിയേഴ്സിനും സ്റ്റുഡൻസിനും ഞാൻ താങ്ക്സ് പറയാണ്. ആൻഡ് ലാസ്റ്റ് ബട്ട് നോട്ട് ദി ലീസ്റ്റ് നമ്മുടെ NSS ഫാമിലിക്കും താങ്ക് യു ഓൾ.
Thank you so much.
Okay, then national anthem.
മനസ്സ് നന്നാട്ടെ. जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा, तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभाशिष मागे, गाहे तव जय गाथा, जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Okay, ma'am, thank you once again. हमको वाइल्ड रखिए.
Thank you everyone. Bye.